Bim, guess what? It's Sunday. It's just after 9 o'clock and it is time for a news roundup of the week on the 3rd of the 3rd, 24. We're going to look at the week's news. Generally, the first 5 minutes or so is me just kind of settling in. No rehearsal, no nothing, just kind of get cracking with it. So if you want to hear it when I'm a little bit more in the zone, so to speak, then just fast forward the video for about 5-10 minutes. If you're watching this live, you can't do that unless of course you're in time traveling, in which case what are you doing watching this? Anyway, so I will have a look and see if we've got anything going on in the chat room. We've got nothing going on yet, but you are you're encouraged to join in the chat in the chat room if you wish. You don't have to, it's fine either way. End of February and the beginning of March, and we are going to be looking at various news from around the world, including Gaza, Russia, America, a little bit of stuff going on in Australia. Prince Harry's in the news again, Vladimir Putin, Rishi Sunak, and what's that other guy called? Oh yeah, Keir Starmer. And even have a look at the Rochdale election results and a few surprises there too. So let's get this road on the show, and I've got a ditchy leg, and we'll see where we end up. I imagine we start on Monday, we'll end up on Sunday. Anyway, the main news of the week, the two main news stories were, I try to do this lightheartedly, but sometimes you can't. And sadly, both these stories are, well, they're not the happiest of stories. The first one is, I'm going to get my thing in. Yeah, there we go. Sir Lindsay Hoyle. Now, he is the Speaker of the House of Commons, and he caused a bit of a furore last week. We discussed it at length when the Scottish National Party, the SNP, had a day where they could put a motion to the Commons and it be voted on. But Lindsay was not pressured, decided himself, whatever, that what he was going to do was he was going to let the Labour Party and the Tories amend this thing, which obviously upset a lot of people. 86 MPs have now signed a petition. This was on Tuesday, for him to be removed from his position as the Speaker. Lindsay Hoyle, Sir Lindsay Hoyle even, still remains in the position, but this was over Gaza and the ceasefire of Gaza, which brings us to Wednesday even. And on Wednesday, Hamas made a few noises saying that they could go and have a chat with various parties, i.e. not Israel but other people, to see if they can come to agreements over hostages and things like that. Meanwhile, President Biden was in America eating an ice cream really badly. Thursday's when it all went peak-tongue again. These are images given by the IDF of people, desperate people, hungry people, majority of them innocent of any crime whatsoever other than being hungry, surrounding vehicles and aid that had been brought into the country. I've written as more genocide, ethnic cleansing, you choose, by the IDF. This time over 100 were killed as food supplies driven through northern territories. Thousands are gathered for food pre-dawn. Israel said the Palestinians, it was more to do with the Palestinians trying to get the food and being run over by the aid trucks. But they did admit that the IDF had fired some shots because they were concerned for their own well-being, which kind of, having seen other footage of it, all you hear is gunshots and people running and screaming. So it's an IDF are very good at putting stuff out that they say proves that they're doing the right thing, which of course they're not, but that's beside the point. And now the Hamas have said that over 30,000 people have been killed since the IDF invaded. Sadly, there was more adding to that on Friday, the 1st of March. Hamas said 7 hostages have been killed by the action of the IDF, and Biden said they will send airdrops. Again, the IDF admitted they had fired gunfire or guns at the aid drop, but denied that it was a problem. That they were the problem. Sorry, with the deaths. It was people doing. What is going on here? My telly's gone all weird. No, cancel. Thank you. Yeah, it was. Sorry, my telly just went very peculiar then. It was them who fired, but they fired warning shots. And Biden saying he was going to do airdrops. I mean, that in itself is unusual, because America, you would think, would be able to convince the Israelis to let their trucks and their aid in. But obviously the Israelis have said no, so they've had to do these airdrops. And on Saturday, airdrops were done. Northern Gaza again, where they've had no real aid for a very long time indeed, and they were dropped because of the population and the buildings and everything. They were dropped on the beaches and near the sea of Gaza, because it goes up to the sea, and it looks like it's worked. But if America's got to do this, then what chance has the rest of the world got to do? 35. Oh no, there we go. Where are we going? Airdrop, blah blah blah. Yeah. More casualties from the aid disaster had been found in hospitals, and the majority of them had gunshot wounds. So Israel and the IDF are saying that there was no shooting of the people. America's got to drop aid into the Palestinian area of Gaza, because no one will let them in. But Hamas have now gone to Egypt today to actually look at agreeing a peace deal. So that is where we're up to at the moment. Which brings us to the next story, which is another pretty awful story, but this is Russian. The widow of what was he called? Yulia Navalny. No, that is Yulia Navalny. Alexei's widow spoke at the EU Parliament. She wasn't going to go back to her husband's funeral because she would probably be arrested and probably end up the same way he was. So she basically spoke into the EU and therefore all over the world, and said that Putin must answer for everything he has done. And the UN seemed to agree as well. And she said, though, that you've got to stop treating him as a normal politician. You've got to treat Putin as a mafia boss, which is something I've never thought of before. But you know what? She's not wrong. The guy is basically a mafia boss. On Thursday, the day after, Putin warns the US and NATO against any troops of ours going into Ukraine. It's his 19th State of the Nation address, and reminds everyone that they have weapons too. Well, as we've seen, they ain't very good. They're like weapons from 1970s. Friday, thousands attend the funeral of Alexei. Again, I don't think anyone's been able to carry out an autopsy on his body, but hopefully they have managed to do it maybe in secret somewhere. But nothing's come out of that yet. But yeah, 15,000 to 20,000 people defied possible arrest and persecution in a fairly peaceful, for Russia, burial, and his coffin was lowered into the grave with the theme tune of the Terminator being played, which, you know what, is pretty cool. That is a pretty cool thing to go down into your grave with. But will he be back like the Terminator? Was there a hidden message in that? Sadly, I don't think he will. But that was the news headlines from this week, i.e. the main news that occurred. We got people in the chat room. Hello Lainey, hello Alan Barton as well. Also T, if you're on. H, the Welling Massive, are on as well. Yeah, it's all good. Right, we're going to go now on to the week. So this is week of world news reported in the United Kingdom. So Monday the 26th of February, I've lost you, where have you gone? There you go. Monday the 26th of February, former Conservative Lee Anderson rejects, or well, he rejects the calls for him to apologise for the comments that he said about Sadiq Khan being controlled by Muslims and basically giving away London to the Muslims. He said that his words were clumsy, but there was no apology. Keir Starmer says it's Islamophobia, but Rishi is so weak, and you're like, so you're accusing Rishi of being Islamic for Islamophobia in his party, yet you're the leader of the Labour Party, which is anti-Semitic. Pot, kettle, black. Possibly the most interesting thing he said this year, though, to be fair, because he's such an absolute beer. Hello, fella. What's your most hated news event? What is going on in Gaza is my current most hated news event, and the fact that a lot of people in the media seem to be agreeing with what they are doing, including Andre off of Talk TV, who actually went over and did a fact-finding thing, which, well, yeah, didn't ring up this week. To be fair, I couldn't ring up last night because I was too intoxicated from the gin. But yeah, Keir Starmer calling Rishi Sunak weak. Yeah. Hungary finally voted for the 32nd member of the UN, or NATO, sorry. Sweden is now a member of NATO, or it will be very soon indeed. Borders onto Russia, which I never knew until recently. It's only took 2 years for them to agree. Remember, Hungary, is a former Soviet country, so maybe that's why they were being a little bit, we can't do that. But everyone has to agree to new members. Anyway, they've finally done it, so Hungary has finally allowed Sweden in. I personally would have kicked Hungary out and let Sweden in, but there you go. Scarlett Blake is sentenced to life in a men's prison for murder. Now, Scarlett Blake is a transgender woman, but has been sentenced to a men's prison for the horrific murder that they carried out. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. By all means, live transgender if you want in community, but if you do anything wrong, and as I've said many times before, if you murdered people, then you give up all your rights to human rights. You have removed human rights from the person or people that you have murdered. Therefore, you have no rights to human rights. And that's right. Angry farmers take over Brussels again, burning tyres, spreading poo everywhere. And it's all to do with the EU saying they are undercut by green... it's telling the EU Parliament that they are being undercut by imports from foreign countries, also being priced out by all the green policies. No, someone's put a thumbs up there. Agreed. I assume that's with the you can live your life as you want, but you lose all human rights if you commit a murder or other heinous crime. So yes, indeed. Everton Football Club, they were deducted 10 points for losing too much money, which I can't really see what the point of that is. If you're losing too much money, then you're just bad at business. It's been reduced to, I think, 6 or 7 points now, which means they are less likely to be relegated, but because they've got other things going on as well, I don't think they're allowed to sign new footballers or anything like that. It is very tricky for them, but I wish them well. I mean, I'm not an Everton fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I do feel that stuff like relegation should be decided on the pitch, not in the boardroom or by the authorities. UK farmers, we talked about UK farmers doing protests last week, Game Overcooked. They were at Dover doing a slow drive round and blocking motorways into Dover over exactly pretty much the same reasons, being undercut by people with imports and all the green policies that, let's be honest, are not going to make a jot of difference. And this is when people are being told to go vegetarian, so we need the farmers to grow more crops. But they're actually, it's more difficult to grow crops because they can't use the pesticides and all that kind of stuff and fertilizers because they've got to be green. So yeah, the whole world will just starve. And as I said last week, maybe that's the whole point. Tuesday, the 27th of February, concerns over MP security. Many millions of pounds has been pumped into more security for MPs. This is basically what Lindsay Hoyle was on about when he said about the having the Tories and Labour say something and amend the motion being put forward by the SNP last week. Anyway, the government has agreed to put 32 million into it. The Prince of Wales has pulled out of a memorial due to family concerns. It's a personal matter. Can only think his wife is unwell and his father has been diagnosed with cancer, the King. But they don't burn down castles, I mean tires. Oh no, they don't do that. We're civilised over here. When we protest in the UK, we do it in a civilised, organised manner. Wednesday the 28th of February, Scotland Police apologise for failing in long-running investigation of a murder. Alan Packer jailed for life 20 years later or after the murder of a young girl, and the police basically could have caught him many times but didn't because it was just crap. And they're blaming, you know, cuts and all that kind of stuff, but no, if you just can't do your job, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, you still can't do your job. Rishi says mob rule over democratic rule in the UK. This is because of the near riots we've had in London over the Gaza Palestinian Israel issue that's going on. But that's because there was a demonstration outside number 10 and outside the Houses of Parliament. And it is 30 million plus. Are you having a gin chaser with your Guinness? No, I'm not. I will not be drinking gin for a while. Oh, we've got Stephen LFC back with Rollo, the doggy, which is nice. Prince Harry loses appeal of removal of police protection in the UK. He is appealing. No, he's not. He's a ginger tosser. But yeah, he basically says because he's born into a royal family, he should always have paid for protection. Like, no, not when you give it all up on your own free will. You don't. Thursday the 29th of February, thank God the last day of February, I don't have to say February anymore. Prince of Wales, first official visit at a London synagogue. It's the first time he's been out after having a couple of days away for family issues and family concerns. Christian Horner says he does not respond to anonymous emails and leaks alleging various improprieties, and I have to say I'm with him on this one. He's married a Spice Girl. Okay, it was a ginger one, but you know it's still a Spice Girl, isn't it? and he's a leader of a high pressure, one of the most high pressure management jobs in the world. The amount of money, the amount of organisation moving everything around. Of course, he needs to be a strong character, otherwise it would all fall apart. But anyway, he's been cleared of initial charges, but then all these things leaked, and you're wondering if it's Mercedes or someone else who's just trying to wind him up a little bit. But he's been around long enough to know that you don't get wound up by that. Sad story, one of the hairy bikers, Dave Myers, has passed away. He's been fighting cancer for the last few years. He was 66 years old. Wasn't a massive fan of the hairy bikers in the fact they never watched the shows or anything, but when they appeared on stuff, they always seemed a nice, couple. A banana is peeling. Oh, appealing. All right, okay, a banana is appealing, yeah. What is your favourite dog breed? I don't really have a favourite dog breed because I don't really have a favourite dog. I'm more of a cat man. And my favourite cat is Silence. I'm only saying that because she's in here, and if I don't say that, she might rip one of my bits off. Rochdale by-election took place on Thursday. It is a very strange election. The Green Party and the Labour Party both jettisoned their candidates, but both candidates still remained on the paper, so therefore they could still be voted for. You had George Galloway pouncing around in his hat, pretending to be a cat, ironically, not a dog, see. But we get the results tomorrow. So Friday the 1st of March, George Galloway wins the Rochdale by-election by a large margin. Now, he's basically come from nowhere. The PM addresses, and he says, addresses the nation, stating victory is beyond alarming. Mainly because it wasn't his party who won, saying victory, no, there are forces here trying to tear us apart. George Galloway has got a bit of a track record, though, of winning by-elections. He's never been re-elected in a constituency that he's won, but it's his fourth win with 3 different parties. Prick, pork, quo. Can't you name the parties? I mean, you can if you want, but I'm not arsed. I haven't got them. I don't care. Forget that election. Wigan is in the top 10 for private rent rises in the last 3 years, we found out yesterday, which is Saturday the 2nd of March. Basically, as I've been saying for a while now, particularly on Wigan Watch, Wigan is perfect for price rises because we are basically now a commuter town. When HS2 was going to be built, I think that's why the Chinese got involved, because they knew that people are not going to be going backwards and forwards every day, but you could literally work in London, travel down a couple of days a week or a couple of days a month, but live as far away now as Wigan and all that. Now HS2 hasn't happened, but we're still, people's work habits have changed because you can now work from home a lot more. Everything's a lot easier, so people aren't going into the office. So if you live in Manchester, and I've said this many times, but you live in Manchester or Liverpool, and we're right in the middle, that's why I live here. I actually live here because of the commute, because I was an area manager of a company that had a shop in Liverpool, Preston and Manchester, and Wigan slap bang in the middle. So yeah, it does make sense, and that was 30 years ago. I was ahead of the thing. What I do one day, everyone else does 30 years later. Yeah, okay, I'm not that much of an influencer yet. More sad news. Iris Apfel has died, 102 years old. She was a iconic model. She signed a model in contract when she was 90. And you're like, I've never heard of her. No, you haven't heard of her, but you know who she is. She appeared a year or two ago on some adverts, and she's the lady who had the massive, thick, round, black-rimmed glasses on, short hair, and loads of jewellery. She made Theresa May look like she was not wearing any necklaces. Anyway, she was a very successful businesswoman as well, and hung around with many famous people. but 102 years old and still active, 3 million followers on social media, you know, living life, but sadly passed away at the age of 102 yesterday. The Chinese wanted to go to Wigan to buy from Games and More. Yeah, maybe not. Today is Sunday the 3rd of March. You can tell that because I said up there, 3rd of the 3rd, 24, you see. It's not just thrown together, this. Hints of cat tax cuts in the upcoming budget. It's the last one probably before an election, so one would have thought so. I can't picture her. I don't do anything like that. I don't do Chinese, Indian or Thai. I don't do. I'm very, very boring when it comes to food. Have you not seen my cooking videos? They're dreadful. I'm gonna find a picture for you of her. Yeah, age 103, dead. Images. Okay, 102. There we go. That's it. There you go. That's what she looks like. But she doesn't now. Mother's Day next Sunday. Yeah, I've got to get my mum a Mother's Day card before I go down on Tuesday. Iran election. Iran, our favourite country that isn't Russia. Well, it's not our favourite country, it's Iran. But they're holding elections which are perfectly legitimate, but a very low turnout, about 41% nationally. And in Tehran, 19%, which is being ridiculed. In my election that I went for in Pemberton, it was 19% as well. It's very depressing. And train fares rise by 5%, which is weird because they are trying to get people to use the trains more by putting the prices up. It makes no sense. It may be Mother's Day, but it's my birthday. I hope you all remember that. No, don't remember it. So, that brings us, where's my mouse gone? There it is. That brings us to the world news reported this week from around the world. And normally it's Australia and America. And it's normally two areas where I get it from. And there's some shocking, surprising news about a child star. Apparently they don't look like they did in the movies. Who'd have thought? Galloway's favourite country, that. You're not wrong. How far did what run? How far did what run? What? Where's the run thing? Elections. Runs fairs rise. I don't know. I don't know what ran. Anyway, I feel a lot better than I did this time yesterday, I'll be honest with you. Let's have a look at the world news. If you want to see me absolutely off my trolley, then yeah, have a look at the Saturday gaming thing that we did. That's the wrong picture. We've already done that one. We don't want to do that one again, do we? Now we're down world news. There we go. So, Australia first. Oh, Iran. Oh. A flock of seagulls is favourite country. Iran. I walk into the avenue. No. I walk into the avenue by you. And around by you. And I run so far away. Yeah, very good. Anyway, serious news time, and then we'll have a bit of light relief because I'll be honest, the news is so I mean, news is depressing, but it just seems to be extra depressing with the wars going on and Putin's still breathing or not, and various other things going on. It's just horrendous. Now, I think I mentioned this last week. I may have not done. It may have been a news story that's kind of broke during the week. I can't remember. But two. Oh yeah, I did mention it last week. A couple of two blokes have gone missing in Australia, and they accused a former boyfriend of one of the men, who was an active police officer, of being the murderer. So police say accused killer of Jesse Bard and Luke Davies purchased weight, an angle grinder and a padlock before making multiple trips to a rural property near Goulburn. The search continues for the couple's bodies, with police scouring a dam on the property, because by this point they'd already found blood-stained clothes and a discharged weapon. I should have apologised. If you're offended by seeing men's bits, then look away now. Oops. Look, I mean, this is Australian newspaper. It goes from sad to whoa, willies. Locals fighting to keep a popular Byron Bay nudist beach have bared it all in protesting efforts. The demonstration has managed to gain a small win, with the planned shutdown now pushed back until the end of June. I must admit, I've always wanted to go on a nude beach, not to look at people, just so I can say I've done it. I walk around with my bits flapping in the wind. I think they're a great idea, but I mean, obviously we live in Britain. If I lived in Australia, I'd be on the nude beach every day. I'm getting the body for it now, you know. Bit shrinking, belly going over the bits, you know, going bald. So yeah, I'm you know, typical naturist now. Not a naturalist. That's David Attenborough. New South Wales Police uninvited from Mardi Gras. The Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Board has withdrawn. Okay. The Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Board has withdrawn its invitation to New South Wales Police to participate in this year's parade. A spokesman for the New South Wales Police Force said, while disappointed with this outcome, the New South Wales Police will continue to work closely with the LBG. Oh God, it's the Australian one. LGBTIQA plus community. IQA. But yeah, this is because the active or the actual suspect in the murder of the gay couple was an actual policeman. So obviously they don't want the police to be at the Mardi Gras celebrating being police when one of them is murdered. New stands for notable events, weather and sports. Oh, don't do sports. Although I have done, haven't I? Because I've already mentioned a sport. So there you go. Human remains have been found. Again, this tragedy just keeps unfolding in Australia. In the search for the Sydney couple, it is understood police made a discovery at a second property in the New South Wales Southern Tablelands. Absolutely horrendous. Meanwhile, Dutch supermarket introduces slow checkpoints for lonely elderly people who want someone to talk to. This is another supermarket that's done it. We did talk about one last year that did a similar thing, and this one's done the same thing, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Police to march in Mardi Gras. Officers will be allowed out of uniform, so basically they can do a nude walk, march, or no, they could probably wear other clothes, but yeah, they don't want people walking around in police uniforms because of obviously the situation that's going on. Willy Wonka experience so bad police were called and children cried, and this has been reported in Australia. That's how bad it is, and I'll be honest with you, it looks, and it cost 25 quid to get in. Or was it 35? It might have even been 35 quid to get in. And there's a picture coming on later on that even I don't believe that it's the banner that goes with it. I'm like, what? Really? I don't think so. Marijuana used marijuana use linked to heart attack risk, a study has found. Vaping or consuming marijuana is linked to a significantly higher risk of heart attack and stroke, a new study found. The risk climbed as the marijuana use increased. I know someone who uses a lot of cannabis, so let's hope it's true because he's an absolute prick. Anyway, obviously I don't want people to die. I do make exceptions. But yeah, I don't necessarily think it's that, because let's be honest, people have been smoking weed for decades. Like from the 60s. I mean, it was everywhere in the 60s, wasn't it? That's probably where I come from, probably a marijuana party, I don't know. So yeah, it does seem strange that all of a sudden they're now saying that it increases the risk. No, the risk is from the injections that everyone got, I didn't, from the COVID vaccine, because that's been reported as well, but they're trying to hush that up and blame it on marijuana now. I'm drinking ginger ale with a brandy mixer. You should do news from the News of the World. Do you remember that paper? Does it still run? No, it doesn't run. It stopped after the scandal of the phone hacking. It basically got shut down. South Korea has given doctors till tonight to end a strike or face prosecution. This is how you handle doctors. Doctors in South Korea are on strike over working conditions and pay. And they've been told by the government that if they don't end their strike, they will be prosecuted for killing people and risking people's lives. I'm like, yeah, get on with it, because the junior doctors over here need a kick up their arse. And I'm not even joking. A truck driver pulled to safety in miraculous rescue. And you're like, really? This is in Kentucky? And yeah, look. It's a truck that's hanging. The cab, which is there, is the bit where the driver is. The hood, or the bonnet of the cab, has fallen off. It's gone through the barrier of the bridge, this barrier here, and somehow was wedged. And they managed to get the guy out of it. He didn't fall out, must have had a seatbelt on or something. But yeah, miraculous. There's been a lot of people who've been miraculously saved recently. I mean, there was a guy rescued off that building that was on fire with the cage hanging from a crane, and then there was the people rescued by a rope from another fire. So yeah, there's been some remarkable rescues going on. Used it and stopped now 48 days now. Feel better for it. Well done, Stephen. I'm not condoning or calling anyone who does marijuana. You're allowed to do what you want with your own body. That's what it's about. Who remembers the paper The Onion? I think it was just comedy Thai paper. No, I remember the Today paper, which was the first colour paper, but everything looked like you had to... All the pictures were that badly printed, it looked like you had to wear 3D glasses to look at them. Well, the rope was being held by other people. It wasn't a rope on its own. It wasn't a sentient rope that rescued someone. Or was it? No, it wasn't. Kookaburra spotted in English countryside. In Suffolk. An Aussie native has caused quite a flap after it was spotted living in the English countryside, more than 14,000 kilometres away from its home and any old gum tree. Kookaburra, obviously very famous Australian bird, and yeah, it must have escaped from a zoo or an aviary or something like that. But yeah, it's living and having a happy life here in that there Suffolk. Super rope. Yeah, it had shorts on and everything. It was very good. California, California sees enough fentanyl last year to kill everyone in the world twice over. Why do you need that much drugs, or that many drugs? Chatbots inaccurate, misleading responses about the US elections and threaten to keep voters from the polls. With presidential primaries underway across the US, popular chatbots are generating false and misleading information that threatens to disenfranchise voters, according to a report published. Yeah, basically, AI doesn't know what it's talking about. Who knew? It will do one day, but at the moment, no. A tourist trying to catch the Hawaii sunrise drives off a 64 cliff, gets swept away and survives nearly unscathed. A Canadian tourist visiting Hawaii walked away nearly unscathed after he drove off a 60-foot cliff on the Big Island and fell into the ocean. The unidentified man, 27, was driving along restricted back roads near the South Point Cliff Dive with a renter jeep when the vehicle plunged off the cliff at about 3:30 a.m. He'd gone to watch the sunrise because apparently it's amazing. And yeah, survived with only a few scratches. Can't park there, mate. Damn, immigrant birds as well, very good. They are noisy birds. Yeah, they are noisy birds, the kookaburra. Indiana pushes a bill to ban China and other foreign adversaries from buying farmland. I think that should extend to anything, not just farmland. But yeah, the lawmakers are pushing a bill to prevent foreign adversaries from buying up precious farmland after a damning report showed Chinese investors own nearly 385,000 acres of US land. So yeah, it makes sense to not let them do that, because if they own it, they can do what they want with it, basically. Disembodied arm found by Long Island kids walking to school. Then police dogs find a leg in a pile of leaves nearby. A girl walking to school with a group of pals stumbled upon a severed arm on Long Island on Thursday, leading to a police search that uncovered a disembodied leg in a pile of leaves, according to officials and reports. The gruesome discovery was made at 8:41 a.m. Yeah, that's a weird one, isn't it? I don't know if there's any suspicious circumstances or not, but it gets weirder, trust me. Biden launches unprecedented investigation into national security threats from Chinese auto exports. President Biden launched an unprecedented investigation into fears high-tech Chinese cars pose risk to our national security, suggesting they're being used to steal sensitive data and could even be remotely accessed or disabled on American roads. China is determined to dominate the future of the auto market, including by using unfair computer advantage. But yeah, it is I've always said, if we sell weapons to countries, we should have built into them a tamper-proof way of making them useless. So if they start using them against us, we can just flick a switch and all their planes will just drop out the sky or won't take off or won't do anything. And yeah, the Chinese could do that. They could have everyone buying and driving around in computer-orientated Chinese cars and then flick a switch and the whole of America and the world grinds to a halt. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Everything you need to know about New York City's $15 congestion pricing toll. The rollout of New York's controversial congestion pricing plan, which will see drivers charged £15 a time to enter Midtown Manhattan, is fast approaching. The congestion toll is slated to kick off in mid-June after facing years of delays and a slew of lawsuits. The Manhattan Transport Association argues the additional toll, which aims to curb peak day congestion on busy Manhattan streets, will reap $1 billion a year. That in turn would fund better public transport. Yeah, I'm not sure it really works like that, because, as we already know, in Britain they put the price of rail tickets up by 5%. Iconic Banksy Ghetto for Life mural removed from the Bronx and is now headed to Connecticut. An iconic Banksy graffiti installation in the Bronx that initially drew the eerie of some but grew to be considered the pride of the neighbourhood was shipped off to Connecticut this week. South Bronx residents were left feeling betrayed as the exterior wall that displayed the Ghetto for Life graffiti was removed from 651 Elton Avenue due to the building's demolition. Everyone's crying around here. They say, no, they're not. No one's crying about a bloody Banksy. But demolition, yeah, maybe the building has sentimental values. I don't know. Anyway, here's an orange person. Supreme Court moving quickly will decide if Trump can be prosecuted in election interference case. The Supreme Court agreed to decide whether former President Donald Trump can be prosecuted on charges that he interfered with the 2020 election and set a course for a quick resolution. This is because they want him prosecuted and banged up before the election, or, no charges. I bet they played around with it before they reported that that'd be the dismembered arm, wouldn't it? I doubt it. I think, well, the boys might have done, kind of thing. Woman's head discovered in same New York park where kids found man's arm, as cops probe is MS-13 may have been involved. Now, I said it got weirder. So this is the same park where the kids found the arm and the police found the leg. There's a joke there somewhere, although someone's died, so it's not really funny. But now they found a woman's head. Investigators stumbled on a woman's head in a Long Island park hours after other body parts were discovered there. Many are probing if the ruthless MS-13 gang may be involved. The grisly find came as authorities were sweeping the west side of Southwood Park looking for the remaining parts of the man's body. I bet they played about with that too. Oh God. Yeah, probably not. Very gruesome, yes, Alan. Residents cry foul after Canadian hunter kills terrorising turkey with a slingshot. It was a real turkey shot. A Canadian vigilante used a slingshot to take out a wild turkey that had been attacking elderly people and children in a small town in Quebec for the past several weeks. The Montreal Gazette reported, with the blessing of the local mayor, the unnamed hunter killed the turkey with a bullseye and then took it back home to eat, freeing the town, of its foul, spelt like a bird, F-O-W-L, terror. And yeah, I mean, it's not the turkey's fault. That's the way it's brought up. I bet they played with that too. Pigeons have turned a New York City park into poop-covered horror, ruffling residents' feathers. Belongs to those birds. This park is for the birds. Overzealous bird lovers have transformed an Upper Seaside park into a poop-covered horror scene, right out of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. No, it's not. It's pigeons. Overfeeding the brazen pigeons who now flock there by the thousand, and comedy the space for themselves, including park benches and basically there's just everywhere. The park is starting to look like France's buildings, official buildings, because it's just poo everywhere. Oregon lawmaker passes bill to recriminalise drug possession. A bill recriminalising the possession of small amounts of drug was passed by the Oregon legislature on Friday, undoing a key part of the state's first-of-the-nation drug decriminalisation law as governments struggle to respond to the deadliest overdose crisis in US history. Yeah, the idea was, to be fair, if you make drugs legal, not all drugs, but a lot of drugs legal, they can be sold in a more safer way, in a more controlled way, rather than out of people's houses, the backs of cars, or kids riding around on bikes and stuff like that. So it did make sense in that respect. The problem is, if you give people the right to take and have drugs on them, then people who would never have done it when it was against the law start doing it, and then they become hooked. So you actually make the problem worse by getting more people hooked on it. How many people who wouldn't dare smoke marijuana in the UK go to Amsterdam, and for the entire time they're as high as a kite. They come back and they never touch it again because it's not legal here, but it's legal over there. Imagine if it become legal here. Everyone would be doing it. They're doing it all anyway, I know, but you know what I mean. It's that kind of thing. She looks like a kid who plays with body parts. God's sake. To be fair, I did think she was holding up a dead pigeon when I first saw that picture. So I'm kind of with you on that, but she's not. CDC drops 5-a-day isolation guidance for COVID-19 cases. Who knew that was still a thing anyway? The Centers for Disease Prevention and Control rolled back its long-standing 5-day isolation guide for people who come down with the COVID-19. Under the updated guidelines, they say those infected with the coronavirus can return to work or public in just one full day after their fever subsides. Today's announcement reflects the progress we have made in protecting against severe illness from COVID-19. Don't get me wrong, people are in hospital with COVID-19 all over the world, people are dying from COVID-19 all over the world, but I think we can live with it. It's at the moment, until a new strain comes out, it's no more deadly than a severe case of flu or pneumonia. Kelly says, why weren't her comments come up on here? I have no idea. There's no comments coming up for me not to let her come up with. Unless she's using language, there's many words that are banned, obviously swear words and things like that. Boy 13 gunned down in New York City. Oh, she is signed in to YouTube, isn't she? She's not just watching as a guest of YouTube. She's got to be signed in on her account. Now, I know I've not mentioned gun crime in the US for nearly a year now, because literally they don't seem to get it in America that this is not normal. But this I brought up because it's so tragic. A boy aged 13 was gunned down in New York City, and he made a frantic last phone call before dying. The 13-year-old boy gunned down in Brooklyn on Thursday frantically called his mum to tell her he'd been shot before he just collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Troy Gill was targeted in what may have been a rival gang hit when he was sprayed with bullets about 3 blocks from his Crown Heights home around 10:30 p.m. I mean, it's horrendous. But America think this is normal. And it's like, it's not normal. This is not normal anywhere. It shouldn't be normal anywhere. Alaskan Airlines and Boeing sued for $1 billion over horrific mid-air blowout that sucked away a teen's shirt. Not the teen, thank God, just his t-shirt. A trio of passengers are suing Alaska Airlines and aircraft manufacturer giant Boeing for $1 billion over the horrific January the 5th flight that took off from Portland, Oregon, and had a massive cabin panel blowout. Images of the gaping fuselage hole that nearly caused the disaster went viral, and the suing passengers told new terrifying stories of their experience after filing their suit. But yeah, the decompression ripped a young teenager's t-shirt off, but thankfully, a mobile phone as well. The mobile phone was found and it was still working, which was amazing. I don't know if they ever found his t-shirt. So he's still walking around with no top on. Weird. But thankfully no one was injured, and the plane managed to land safely. But yeah, poor maintenance and bad design seems to be the culprit of the tragedy. So I think, unusually, I kind of agree with a lawsuit against them. Comic predicts woke Seattle club that cancelled him will not stay in business that long. A Seattle comedy club cancelled 4 comics because they didn't align with its neighbourhood's progressive values, leading to one of the funny men to predict the club would go out of business. The Capitol Hill Comedy Bar, which celebrates the vibrant voices of the queer community with a weekly Queers to the Front open mic, has booked Jim Florentine, Dave Smith, Louis Gomez and Kurt Metzger for a night of comedy, but they cancelled them because these people are not considered LGBT plus friendly comedians. Oh, Kelly's here. I don't think you have to subscribe, Alan, to chat, but I don't know. More New York City fires caused by lithium-ion batteries from e-bikes in 2 months than in all of 2019. Lithium-ion batteries used in e-bikes and other electronic mobility devices, including cars, remember, are now a leading cause of fire in New York City. following their popularity surging during the pandemic's delivery boom. Fire Department New York officials said fires related to the lithium-ion batteries have gone up nearly ninefold since the pandemic. And the most common cause of fires is lithium batteries. And let's be honest, the cars haven't actually took off yet. Mind you, that's way off. It's a long way off. Flying cars. It's not back to the future, you know. Or is it? I don't know. Anyway, thank goodness we get to this bit. This is the news that makes you go, or, Oh, I sound like that bloody hummingbird off that stupid advert. Or, ugh. Or, ah. Or, basically, the lighter look at the news this week. And we start off with, I don't really know if anyone knows or not, but Formula 1's my favourite sport. It's still a sport I follow, it's still a sport I watch. And yeah, I just like it. I know it's boring, but I like it. So someone's done, you know those bingo sheets you can do, where you get you put a cross on, you know, you watch like doing shots, you know, you put a cross on the sheet when someone says something on a TV show. For example, if it was the Apprentice, you know, Lord Sugar Will See You Now. Oh, I've got that one. You put a cross on it. So it's like bingo. That's what I was looking for. Well, they've done one for Formula 1 for this year. 24 races. So Max wins at Brazil, Max wins at Silverstone, Max wins in Abu Dhabi, Max wins in Singapore, Max wins at Las Vegas, Max wins at Spa, Miami, Australia, Spain, Imola, Azerbaijan, Mexico, Monaco, Bahrain, Hungary, Qatar, Zandvoort, Monza, Japan, Saudi Arabia, China, Qatar, Australia and Canada. And then in the middle, Max wins the championship. Now, I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I don't think he's going to win every race. But yeah, it's certainly different. I've never seen this programme, but this is quite funny. Again, Formula 1 related. I never knew that Lewis Hamilton was in Breaking Bad. But there you go, you learn something new every day. Yeah, he's trying to find the winning formula. And we talked about Banksy before. I do love Banksy. I went to see the exhibition of Banksy. It's on one of my news things. What are you doing? Oi! What are you doing? Don't go behind there, you naughty cat. Okay? Although I know you were left in here all night last night, but you've not pooed anywhere, I've checked. Verstappen. Yeah, Max Verstappen. It is Max Verstappen, yeah. But this is something you can get and actually... I think you can buy these, and yeah, they are quite cool, but they'd be like £15 billion each. Sadiq Khan's ULEZ extended to cover farts, and the mayor says the bottom line is all noxious emissions must be squeezed out. See, it's tying in with what we've discussed. I don't have time to watch stuff, I'll be honest with you. I just don't watch stuff. I don't watch movies. I've now sold 2,500 DVDs this year, more than, well over 2,500 DVDs this year in my shop. I mean, by this year I mean January, February. And out of them, I've probably seen, of the ones I've sold, I've probably seen about 20 of the movies. It's just mad. Characters whose plans always fail miserably. My argument with Dick Dastardly was that if he just didn't cheat, he'd win every race, because in order to cheat, and this is how my mind worked, he had to get ahead of everyone else, and then he stopped to set up a plan to foil everyone else so that he could win the race. But I'm like, you're already in the front, so why don't you just keep going and win the race? And it always went wrong, and Muttley was always going or whatever. I used to be able to do it, I can't do it now. Tom, of Tom and Jerry fame, obviously everything always went wrong for him. Wile E. Coyote, well, he dealt with Acme, and let's be honest, Acme are not the best company to buy goods from. They are like the 1970s Wish or Toomey. You know, all the stuff he got was knackered. And then you got Nicola Sturgeon, who, yeah, she comes up with all these wonderful plans, and it looks like she might be going to prison. Oh dear, that didn't end well, did it? Allegedly, just to clarify. I don't really know it now, I like football. Smile if you've ever won an F1 race in your career. So, Max Verstappen on the left. Lando Norris, those are my two current favourite drivers. Lando Norris in the middle in the white shirt. Alonso, who was racing practically before Norris could walk in Formula One, is in the green shirt. And then you've got the Honey Badger. What's he called? Races for RB now anyway, and probably will be Max's teammate, unless Lando becomes Max's teammate next year. It's all very confusing. But either way, they're all there, and they're all smiling because they've all won a race. They're not, they're just smiling because they're happy. But Lando isn't smiling on that picture, and he's the only one who hasn't won a race, so someone's come up with that, and it's hilarious. I don't watch things now, just YouTube. Game over, cooked, that's all I watch is YouTube. Why isn't Keir Starmer and everyone else on there? Oh, right. Yeah. Well, we don't know if his plans have come together or not yet. The size difference between the RB1 and the RB20. So Red Bull have been racing for 20 years, and that was the first car that they brought out on the left, and the one on the right that is the current car that they've got. Oh, no, it's not actually, it's the car from last year. Sing to your supper to improve your health, a life coach suggests in a balmy claim. A life coach claimed people should sing to their supper because it could help improve their health. She also recommends eating pudding first to improve your well-being. Now, I've heard that eating pudding first because your body knows when you've had something sweet, that's the end of a meal. So if you eat your pudding first and then you eat your meal, you're less likely to want seconds or anything like that from the meal. But you might want a second pudding afterwards because you've just had a meal and your body thinks I've had a meal, I want a pudding. So that doesn't work. But no, having supper doesn't work. Having supper is bad for you. You shouldn't eat at least 3 hours before you go to bed. So it's all nonsense, and I'm not an expert, and I'm still better than them. Game of Thrones was the best thing I've watched last time. Game of Thrones was a programme that someone showed me clips of the first few episodes, and all it was willies in the background and boobies bouncing around. It was a very peculiar thing. I know it got away from that fairly quick, but yeah, I was like, nah, you're alright, I'll give that one a miss. Brits should worry about Putin's wants list after pilot assassinated in Spain. Vladimir Putin's wanted list may feature Brits holidaying in Spain. An expert warns the public to keep an eye out following the assassination of a Russian president. I'm never going to Spain because I know Vladimir Putin watches this and he doesn't like the way I talk about him. That's why Wigan Council want to build a 6-storey hotel so I can accidentally fall out of the 6th floor window. I sang to my meal once, the place evacuated in 5 seconds. Well, there you go then. I heard that your body only needs 1 meal a day. Are you calling me fat? You calling me fat? You're saying that my body only needs 1 meal a day because I'm fat. No, you are right though. When we were grazers and hunters and gatherers back in the day, we didn't sit down to 3 meals a day, and we were very active as well because we had to hunt or forage for the food, and that's in our DNA. Which is one reason why my shop is not online, so people can come in and forage, because we've still got that in our psyche that we need to do that to get pleasure when you find things. So it's not for food or anything like that now, it's for shiny things to line your nest. So yeah, I agree with that. And we do overeat. We eat far too many calories. And I must admit, in the summer, for the last few years, I'd have like chicken from Cloonan's in Wigan for my dinner, and then when I got home I'd have like a sandwich or not a lot else. I ate very little during the summer. Didn't help me with my weight or anything, but there you go. Not your body, everyone's. Well yeah, I must admit I do weigh mine on a regular basis for a comedic effect, let's be honest. Prince Harry in talks with government to bring Meghan Markle and the kids to the UK. Everyone all together. No. UK favourite dinner unveiled as study finds more Brits are cooking from scratch. A new study carried out by British Line Eggs has found Britain's favourite meals The research found 74% of Britons cooking more meals from scratch due to increased cost of living. No, no. I buy chicken a lot, and I buy it in trays, and it's raw chicken, and it's just chicken. And then I cook it in various different ways. I used to cook it in the oven, I've now got the air fryer. So the only real processed food I eat is sausages. But I eat gluten-free sausages rather than sausages that have got a load of, stuff in them. No preservatives, all that kind of thing. What I avoid like the plague, although I do have occasionally, are pre-prepared meals or frozen meals. Now you get a frozen meal that's going to fill you up, and you're looking at least £2 for one of them. A pack of chicken is £2 and it does me 2 days of meals, and there's no noxious preservatives, chemicals, E-numbers or anything in it. It's just chicken cooked as is, and if I want to put a bit of chilli on it or whatever, I do. So yeah, more people are cooking from scratch. It doesn't mention the reason for that is that people are watching this new talented chef on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the channel. His catchphrase is I'm hungry. I don't know what the channel's called. And people are following his recipes, and he cooks from scratch, doesn't cook this nonsense. Ex-ISIS brides treated like animals on campsite and desperate to go home. Shamama Begum, who recently lost her latest plea to have a UK citizenship reinstated. Right, the cat is trying to get onto a carrier bag that I've put something on. My last cat was terrified of carrier bags. This one practically wants to... I don't know. Right. So, ex-ISIS brides treated like animals on campus. I don't really care. They're ISIS brides. They've shown no sympathy for what they saw, what they went for. I know Shamia was very young. She was 15 at the time, and I would make an exception. But she basically, when she was first found, said that she enjoyed the life she'd had and all this. It's only now when she's realised what she said that she decides she doesn't. So, hello MB 2024. Yeah. I've had 7 near-death experiences. A lion charged me. A shark almost ate me. A US combat veteran has told his terrifying encounter with an angry lioness and says if the beast had wanted to, it could have easily killed his whole crew. We all have near-death experiences. When you misjudge crossing a road, when you turn on a light switch or turn off a light switch when your hands are wet. They're all near-death experiences. We just don't know they are. And if we do know they are, we're probably dead then. It's been suggested they should put gruesome warnings on food like they do on cigarettes. I don't know. I think we've got more important things to worry about. And at the moment, for me, the number one health crisis, particularly for the young, is vaping. I think that should be hammered out. And I don't necessarily agree with the nanny state of telling people what they can eat, how they can eat it, when they can eat it. I think, we've got to have some freedom to enjoy ourselves on occasion. But like I did last night when I had half a bottle of 47% gin. Whoa! And a bottle and a half of you know who. Sharks have rubbish eyesight. They can only see the shadow of things. If he was wearing flippers, it would have mistaken him for a seal. Exactly, Kelly. The sharks are notoriously bad at seeing. Cats are as well. Cats can see amazingly at distance, but they can't see anything up close. So they just go off the movement that they can perceive when they're near an animal that they're trying to catch. But they can't anything up close. They're rubbish at it. They just can't see it. But that's what they're designed for. Prince Harry could enter politics like Arnold Schwarzenegger, says an expert. Prince Harry is contemplating US citizenship, and if he gets it, he could enter politics. where the only job off the table would be the president, according to an expert who's never met Harry, never spoke to Harry, has no idea what Harry wants to do with life. But I think Harry wants, well, I don't know whether he wants a peaceful life. He keeps saying he wants a peaceful life. I think the last thing he do is become a politician in America. When you say vaping is that just on flavoured vapes with bright colours, or every single flavour of vape? Every single flavour of vape. My argument with vaping is that it was to take people off smoking cigarettes, which are worse for you than vaping, and they didn't have any taste or anything. Now they've got, like, you know, candy floss flavour, banana flavour, strawberry flavour, toffee flavour, all these different flavours and everything. They're all in these bright colours, packaging and bright coloured things, and they're dead cheap. And people who would never smoked in their life are now vaping. So what I said is, go back to only having nicotine and mint flavoured vapes. Because for getting people off cigarettes, that's what they're there for. And increase the age that you can buy vapes at the same time as you increase the age of people buying cigarettes, because that way, if they are there to stop people smoking, if people can't smoke, when they're 30, because it's been that long since the age limit has gone up, then why the hell do we need vapes? Kickers Phil is watching. Okay. Knickers Phil. I've never smoked and don't agree with vaping or the pens one. My best mate's is hooked. I keep shouting at her. She's wrecking her body. Yeah, because you don't know what chemicals are in them, particularly ones you buy. You know, you get 10 for like 4 pence. You know, what is in these things? They're made very cheaply. They're not regulated. And even if you're my age, you know, I've got a mate who's early 30s, never smoked in their life, apart from the odd cigarette when they go on a night out somewhere. They might have had a cigarette, but that's it. They don't smoke regularly, the casual smokers. Hooked on vaping because of the flavours and the nicotine. Has tried quitting, but can't do. Has tried the nicotine-free vapes, and they don't do it for him. He still needs to have the vapes. So yeah, it's a weird one. Alexei Navalny, jail stripped me down to just a t-shirt for a 30-degree torture walk. Vladimir Putin's rival, Alexei Navalny, died in a Russian lockup known as the Arctic Wolf prison. Pardon me. Other former inmates have now spoken out about their experiences of the jail. Now, jails are meant to be not nice places. They're not holiday camps. But obviously, you're not meant to die there. I mean, the whole point is that you learn from what you've done. And this isn't a prison. This is just an army camp and a torture chamber to get rid of people who Putin doesn't like. They haven't done anything wrong. They've just spoke their mind. My partner only smokes tobacco. Yeah, I have no problem with them, because they're the ones that are helping people stop smoking. But yeah, I mean, the chemicals going into your lungs. We're going to have so many kids in the future. Well, you know, by the time people get to my age, if they've been vaping since they were like 12, they'll either be dead or they won't be able to go upstairs. Yeah, the whole thing is just needs stamping out. Beast from the East awakens. Snow map shows 3 centimetre per hour flurries this week. Yeah, didn't happen. Again, the Met Office being trigger happy. There was a bit of snow, but not 3 centimetres an hour. Alexei Navalny died naturally of a blood clot, claims Ukraine spy chief. Alexei Navalny's mysterious death in a Siberian penal colony has led accusations that he was murdered by Vladimir Putin's regime, but now Ukraine spy chief has suggested the death was natural. I think the death was natural. I just think it was brought on by Putin, because everyone who stands up against Putin dies, which is why I always look over my back. Shoulder, not over my back. I'm not an owl. That'd be weird. Meghan and Harry may return to Canada if US visa application fails. Prince Harry's US visa application is currently under review, and if it fails, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex may have to return to Canada, according to another expert who doesn't know anything, but we'll keep an eye on that one. Brits should be prepared to be called into war as conscripts against Putin's army. Brits could be conscripted to fight Vladimir Putin's army because the armed forces are wafer thin and need the support of real-life Dad's army to repel the Russians. I think we already know that you don't need a lot to repel or at least stop the Russians. They are not the force that they claim to be. A woman stabs boyfriend's penis after learning how many lovers he'd had. The unnamed couple were sitting together at a pavement cafe when they touched on the sensitive topic during the romantic date in Manila in the Philippines. So yeah, don't tell your partner how many other partners you've had. Now remember that Willy Wonka experience. Willy penis stabbing. Oh, don't throw this together, you know. The Willy Wonka experience that was had kids crying and all that kind of stuff, as reported in the Australian press, and I said, sexy Oompa Loompa coming up. There you go. I was sexy Oompa Loompa at Shambolic Kids events. I've still not been paid. Furious parents have demanded full refunds after Willy Wonka experience was branded shambolic and underwhelming by those that attended the event in Glasgow. And this young lady here says that she was a sexy Oompa Loompa. Sorry. I mean, you know, I know there are fetishes and things like that, but sexy? Taylor Swift, sexy. Accused of performing satanic rituals in Boyzone stars rants. Well, he should know, shouldn't he? He was in Boyzone. Yeah, just like that guy in North Korea sent back to America, died of natural brain damage. Did you hear about the Russell? Interesting. Didn't show up on mine. Looks like the banhammer might be coming out. Boyzone Shane Lynch, I mean, let's be honest, he's a bit mad, who is a Pentecostal born-again Christian, well, that proves it, took aim at Shake It Off star Taylor Swift and claimed she was guilty of performing demonic rituals whilst performing on stage to children. He was in Boyzone. You can't call anyone anything for anything. UK snow maps show 10 centimetres per hour this week after major event warning. A major widespread snow event is expected to hit the UK this week, with the white stuff falling at a rate of around 10 centimetres per hour, and it never happened. Crooked House pub owners told they must rebuild it brick by brick after the fire, which is justice indeed. The owners of the famous Crooked House pub, once known as Britain's wonkiest for its distinctive slant, that takes me back to a Top Gear special. But anyway, we won't go there. Has been told they need to restore the beloved boozer to its former glory within 3 years. So basically, they've got to rebuild it to exactly how it was, wonky and everything, in 3 years, or it's bye-bye to everything they own. I'm a Pokemon expert. Card is worth £1.3 million, but there's a drawback on selling. To mark Pokemon Day, February the 27th, card collectors have been urged to check their stash because one specific card could be worth an eye-watering £1.3 million. No, it's not. It's a card. I mean, they might be worth a few grand. I'll give you that, but yeah, not millions. That's stupid. Nicola Booley dive team will join search for boy missing in river. Well, they're not going to find anything, are they? Peter Falding, who led the private search for Nicola Bulley, said he was asked by the family of Zylo Marziva to help the find 2-year-old who fell into the River Soar. He couldn't find a woman in a small tributary who was there because the police found her a bit later. What chance have you got with a 2-year-old boy? I've got a big collection of cards, have you? Kellogg's boss says struggling families eat cereal for dinner, sparking outrage. Kellogg's chief, Gary Pillock, sparked fury when he claimed families struggling to make ends meet should eat cereal for dinner, as the tone was tone deaf. The millionaire was compared to Marie Antoinette, obviously, if you think about it. Right, if I was struggling with a family, we would not be eating Kellogg's cornflakes for dinner or tea. If we'd gone down that route, we'd be eating the one made by the bloody supermarket. We would not be eating Kellogg's because that's not cheap food. Wasn't it 2 people walking by seeing a shadow in the lake? It could have been, actually, yeah. Could have been. Vladimir Putin plans for China nuclear war, according to bombshell Russian documents. Vladimir Putin has secretly made plans for a nuclear war with China, which leaked military documents suggesting Russia have a long feared China despite their close relationship. So yeah, he's Billy No Mates, isn't he, Putin? Because any mates he does have, he just kills. Willy Wonka actor at disastrous event was told to hide as he shows red flags. An actor who portrayed Willy Wonka at the Doom Family Day Out event in Glasgow was hit out the AI generated script and says the event organisers missed a trick with the event. Well, yeah, by holding it. Isn't there one of these every year though? Usually at Christmas, you know, some snowlands where there's like 2 tinsel Christmas trees in a tent in a muddy field in a forest somewhere. Tesla's creepy humanoid robot mocked online as Musk's creation compared to Biden. Tesla tycoon Elon Musk shared a new video of the firm's humanoid robot, Optimus Gen 2, only for people on his social media platform to mock it widely. And why not? That's what we need, isn't it? We don't need Elon Musk. Crisps and fizzy drinks could be banned from certain meal deals in a crackdown. Again, why? According to reports, crisps and fizzy drinks could be banned from certain meal deals in a junk food crackdown. It's thought the measures will encourage people to make healthier choices. No, you've got to have a treat. We need a bit of sugar. You can't... You know, they took salt out of everything. You know, one of the things I enjoy putting in the oven because I like roast potatoes, or tinned potatoes because they're already cooked, and they used to be really salty, so they were really nice and flavoursome, and then they took all the salt out and they're vile now, so I end up putting more salt on them than I probably would have done if they'd have left the salt in them to begin with. And it's the same with this. You know, it's just, why don't you just ban fizzy drinks? Why don't you just all make us drink water? Putin knows NATO would crush weak Russia as UK defence chief claims World War III fears. Oh, calms, not claims. Calms World War III fears. Admiral Sir Tony Radakin, the UK's chief of the defence staff, said he's been surprised by Russia's military weakness in Ukraine and reckoned NATO could crush Putin's forces. I agree, which is what I've been saying all along. I think the worst removal is gluten. Not for my mother, because she is allergic to gluten. If she eats anything with gluten in, it's panic stations everywhere. I mean, you know, both ends, full force. We are not designed as humans to eat gluten. We've not evolved long enough. We're the only species on the planet that cooks food. We're the only species on the planet that combines food. We're the only species on the planet that adds chemicals to food. We're the only species on the planet that mushes up stuff, and then, i.e. wheat, and then mixes it with other stuff, and then cooks it. Our digestive system is not designed for that, which is one reason why, you know, we are an obese species. You think about it, there's no other species on the planet does that. I mean, the nearest thing you've got is those chimpanzees that shove a stick in a ant mound and then lick them like a lolly. Putin, as Alexei Navalny's widow fears funeral may not be peaceful and slams Putin. Thankfully, it was peaceful, but I'm pretty sure that the Stasi, which I know it's not the Stasi, but they might as well be the Stasi, were monitoring all the 15 to 20,000 people who were there, and they'll all be getting knocks on the door, I would imagine. Kremlin source claims dead Wagner boss Yevgeny is alive and in Cuba. Yevgeny Prigozhin was apparently killed in a fiery ball of flaming death after a plane he was on and crashed. But now it's been claimed he actually is living his best life in Cuba. Who knew? Not him. But yeah, they never found anybody's DNA or anything, so there's a possibility that he has fled. Met Office warns snow coming in 48 hours. Maps show flurries widespread and wintry flurries at that. Didn't happen. We can't eat raw beef just like chimps. We can't eat raw beef just like chimps. We can't eat raw beef. Fred West could have used secret network of tunnels for crimes, neighbours say. What? Serial killer Fred West had direct access to a network of secret tunnels near his Cromwell Street home that he could have used to carry out and cover up his crimes, locals claim. Raw monkeys. We could eat. Yeah, but our digestive system's been taken away from that. We are evolving. But it takes many, many, many years to do it. Putin's war planes seen falling from sky in 10 days of hell inflicted by Ukraine. Ukraine forces are downing Vladimir Putin's warplanes with ease, including 2 Russian fighter jets taken out yesterday, and a massive spy plane worth £274 million. A pathetic Willy Wonka chocolate experience blown wide open. Weeks ago on Reddit, the Willy Wonka inspired Willy's chocolate experience was such a letdown that police were called this weekend, but it was actually exposed on Reddit weeks ago. I'm not eating raw monkey. I'm with you now. Yeah, COVID, thank you. Homeowners with smart doorbells or security cameras could be fined £100,000. Now, that's just something I've been thinking about as well. Experts are warning that putting up security systems without following legal protocols can result in fines of up to £100,000 or even criminal charges. So basically, you have to have signs up saying that you're doing it. You cannot film in other people's property. So therefore, in theory, you are not legally allowed to film the footpath outside your property. So if you have got a camera on a car outside that you're trying to protect from vandals, you're also filming anyone who walks past, and that could be in the summertime, children like could be girls in skimpy skirts and sports tops, lads with no shirts on, that kind of thing, which could then be classed as porn. Also, it's invading people's privacy. There's all this, not porn, but you know what I mean. It's all to do with this human right thing. But I'm like, no, I want to protect. I haven't got any security cameras. All my neighbours have though. I want to protect my property, and I don't use it for anything other than that. But yeah, you've got to be really careful with these cameras. And Ring doorbells, I've always thought Ring doorbells are a bit weird. I get why they're there, but it just seems that they're filming people just going around the business. You are allowed to film in a public place, but you notice a lot of times when they film in a public place, they blur out the faces. And also, another problem I've got is if you go into Asda and other supermarkets, They've got cameras now on the tills. They've also got cameras when you come in, and they're filming everyone as well, including the children, invading their human rights. Oh, so close. What do I do? What do I do? Is it time out or is it hide? We'll give it a little bit longer. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. What are you doing? There we go. Where are we up to? CCTV. Viz. Could some screenplay writer please hurry up and create a new murder detective who drives around in a red 1982 2.3 V6 Mark V Ford Cortina Ghia with a black vinyl roof? I've been trying to flog mine for weeks and I've not had so much as a nibble, which I think is a bit genius. You can't film children. Oh God, I'm on the wrong thing. But yeah, whenever you watch the news or anything, you don't see they're interviewing people. Everything behind is out of focus. That's whenever I do my walk arounds. I always hold the camera. I think anyone who legally films kids without the parents' permission is a bit sketchy. Manchester's Co-op Live Arena to host the 2024 MTV EMAs. Manchester will host the 2024 MTV EMAs. Music's biggest global celebration will take place at Manchester's Co-op Live Arena on Sunday the 10th of November 2024. Talk about putting pressure on. There's no one near finished yet as far as I can make out, and they're already got artists lined up to be in it. Reality hard to avoid as King Charles on borrowed time from cancer diagnosis. The future of the royal family is in doubt as the cancer diagnosis of King Charles could leave the British public looking at a reality without him that is hard to avoid. I mean, I don't think anyone thought when he became king that he would be king for, decades, but we will find out. Simpsons writers aren't clairvoyants, rules AI, as more eerie coincidences surface. According to a ChatGPT, spooky parallels between world events and what is shown on The Simpsons can only be put down to amusing coincidences despite wild conspiracy theories. Rollo says, can I get a shout out please? Woof woof. Hiya Rollo. Rollo. Right, here we go. This is the most surprising news of the week. Terminator teen star now unrecognisable. So the kid who played John Connor in Terminator 2, my least favourite thing about the film is screaming when he gets excited, because yeah, it just makes that horrible noise. What film is one of my favourite films? It's just him who irritated me a lot. A tragic. He had I know he went through a hard time, but he lost teeth and various drug addictions and stuff like that. So Edward Furlong got hooked on meth, cocaine and heroin after starring in Terminator 2, but the former teen star has now given himself a second chance at life and he's bought himself some new teeth. But he's now unrecognisable. Well, of course he's unrecognisable. He was 13 when they filmed Terminator 2, playing a 10-year-old. Terminator 2 is ancient. He now looks like this. Basically, a guy. It's like, obvs, he doesn't look like the kid that he was 20 years ago. Goes without saying. And yeah. Anyway, he's been sober for a while, so congrats to him. Well done. Restaurant tells influencer get out of here, as she says, I eat for free. Restaurant Lucky Ramadan and Sushi has mocked an influencer who asked them if they give her a free meal in return for exposure on a social media channel. She was left furious because they basically told her to cough, and rightly so. People are just realising what the green stuff on garlic bread actually is. Why? Where have they been? It seems some people are only just realising what the little green flecks on the top of garlic bread actually is. And no, it's not garlic before you think that. Well, obviously it's not garlic because garlic is white. It's herbs. Oops. A lot of child stars go the same way, it has to be said. I think if people hit fame soon, young lives, they get all this money. It's not just film stars. I mean, look at Justin Bieber. He went through the same thing. But it's been happening for decades. I mean, Shirley Temple, I mean, that was getting on for 100 years ago. And, when she was famous at a young age, it ended up, well, it did eventually end up killing her indirectly. It's just, young stars, they get too much. The people they're hanging around with are just there for the money. They're not there for them. Because that was one thing I said about Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is, he was this kid who did early social media stuff, and the whole world seemed to fall in love with him. He'd become really, really famous. He had a few hits, few albums, made loads of money, and then started hanging around with druggies and stuff like that, and they dragged him down that route. It wasn't his choice. And now he's out of it the other side. He's got some, health issues, Lyme's disease and various other bits and pieces as well. But he does seem to be living a cleaner life now. And I'm not saying they have to go through that, but it does seem to be a common thing, and you do fear for them. I mean, someone might say Amy Winehouse, but not really. Me, Kelly, and Rollo off to bed now, Teg. See you next Sunday. Okay, see you, Stephen and Rollo. Even Britney Spears and Demi Lovato. Yeah, that's a good one as well. We're nearly there now anyway, because we're on the breaking news. Breaking news. What's been happening while I've been on air? List of body shops closing. The one in the galleries, Grand Arcade, is shutting down on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. Because the company's gone bust, nothing to do with Wigan Council. Drivers mocked after cars destroyed by waves on iconic beach. Can't park there. Doesn't say what beach it is, but I know I used to be able to park on Southport Beach, and when I was a kid, we went and had some fish and chips, parked up on the beach in the car. Turned the lights out and everything on the car, so it was pitch black. You could just see the stars and the lights reflecting of Blackpool, because it was Southport. You could see Blackpool over the water and everything. It was really peaceful. And then my stepdad turned the car lights on, and we were surrounded by water, and I literally pooed myself. We're gonna drive. I was only about 8. We're gonna drive. And he said, no, we're not. We'll be fine. And fair play to him. He drove us off, and it was a Ford Escort Estate we were in. It's not a light car. But he got us off the beach, just to clarify. Fraser's buying spree continues as it snaps up online bike store Wiggle. Now, Fraser's, the house of Fraser, was bought by Sports Direct, so technically it's Sports Direct, and they basically buy companies that have gone bust. They bought Wiggle. I'm confused though, because they already own Evans Cycles, and Evans Cycles already have an online site as well as shops here, there and everywhere, including on the owned by Sports Direct Fraser's Robin Park Retail Park. So yeah, bad news for shoppers with price rises at 3 main supermarkets. Mercedes W15 issues come to light as Russell and Hamilton both suffer in Bahrain. Warning, Iceland volcano eruption is imminent as tourist attraction is evacuated. So that's again, it's still going on because these things can go on for a very, very long time indeed. Jeremy Hunt's hope for £90 million London Sheen float risk being derailed by High Street rebellion. I don't understand what that means, so I'm leaving that one. Doctors share 3 signs in the nails that could be signalling an iron deficiency. White flecks. That's what you need to worry about. But I don't have an iron deficiency because I drink the Guinness. It's medicinal. I have more iron in me than Wolverine. Yes, I know it's not iron. It's a joke. Star Wars and Gremlin actor Mark Dodson dies, age 64. I'm not sure who he was or what he did in the movies, but yeah. Italian warship forced to shoot down a Houthi missile in the Red Sea. US Vice President said there must be immediate ceasefire in Gaza and more aid as Israel boycotts talks. I mean, Israel basically is just carrying out ethnic cleansing, and they're not even hiding it now. And even America's getting a little bit fed up with it. Chancellor hoped to show a path to reducing tax burden in prudent budget, which is a contradiction of terms. Germany spills British military secrets to Russia. That's good of them, isn't it? Detectives arrest woman aged 30 on suspicion of murder after man found dead in Enfield. Christian Horner, Red Bull boss, makes big announcement over future. Doesn't tell you what it is though. Martin Lewis, doesn't care about him. Waitrose and Sainsbury's issue urgent product recall. Could contain glass. Doesn't tell you what it is though. I'm not using Eurostar ever again. It's the end of the line for the Channel's tunnel service. Well, not if one person says it now. Will there be another season of Call the Midwife? Who cares? Train passengers hit out at delays and cancellations on first day of the 5% ticket price increase. End of an era as iconic Blackpool Pleasure Beach ride closes for good. It's been in the park since 1960. It doesn't tell you what it is because it's clickbait. Golden West Brewing Company collapses. Award-winning brewery goes into voluntary administration. Should have been liquidation, really, shouldn't it? Again, Met Office warns blocking patterns set to bring snow into southern Britain, and it's going to be wintry until April. Well, it's March. Of course, it's wintry. Leading cause of death, warning signs of emphysema that could cause holes in your lungs. Wolf blames Hamilton. I'm hurried because of Lewis. Oh, the love affair is over. Starbucks launched Spring 2024 drinks menu, including new Instagram-worthy creation and returning favourite. Never bought anything from there in my life. BBC iPlayers users issued with urgent deadline ahead of major content block this month. If you use iPlayer on a Mac or a Windows PC, you need to follow urgent advice before looming deadline comes into force. I noticed I had a Sony TV that was quite old, and it stopped. I couldn't use iPlayer on it anymore, even though there was nothing wrong with the TV. It was weird. And finally, full list of Body Shops closed. I've already done that one. So that was the breaking news. News. So there you go then. That is it. We go through stats now, don't we? Because we've got the stats back. Yay! We've got 9 concurrent viewers. We've had 74 views. We've got 5 likes. We've got 10 viewers at the minute now. We've only got 5 likes though, never mind. Got 10 points, 10 minutes and 50 seconds is the average. And the most numbers we had any one time was about 20 past 10. And that was 12 viewers. So yeah, that's not bad. So big shout out to everyone. Laney, Alan Barton, the Welling Massive, Game Overcooked, Stephen, who's gone to bed now, and Rollo. Where are we? Kelly Buxton, who finally got on. Alright, you had a bit of a wobble there. Doesn't matter though. MB 2024 BD, well, a bit weird. So yeah, one of the mods handled that well. Also to T as well, thank you very much. So that is it for another week. How long are we on for? Oh, it's nearly 2 hours this one, isn't it? Although I was a little bit later starting because the PC had to do an update. Sab's Workshop. No worries. Thanks, Sabs, for joining in as well. It's all been good. And that is it for another, whatever it is. It's not a show. Is it a show? I don't know. There it is. Anyway, me waffling for 1 hour and 45 minutes. So, drinking 1 glass of Guinness. So yeah, thank you very much. All being well, we will see you again next week. Don't forget other broadcasts we do, including the drive-in on Tuesdays and the live gaming sessions on Saturday, where I will not be drinking gin this week. So yeah, thank you for watching and all being well. I'll be seeing you. Until then, bye. He said bye. Good. I said bye. There we go. We've only got 5 likes, 11 people. 11 people. Oh no. What? Cat's on the bag.